granniopteryx, granniopteryx. She knows the truth, she's linking every link.
I'm sorry to have to tell you that you are going to be listening to a pack of lies and a lot of anti-Semitic lies and proof that at least Birmingham has been taken over by Muslim radicalism and the government is doing nothing about it. And the worst thing is the police here are doing nothing about it as well. I don't know who this guy is, but he must know that he's not telling the truth, and he's doing it anyway. Just let's listen to what he has to say. Oh, I'll put the closed captions on. Okay.
We have intelligence and information that says that there is a section of Maccabi fans, not all Maccabi fans, but a section of them who engage in quite significant levels of hooliganism. We've had examples where a section of Maccabi fans were targeting people not involved in football matches, and certainly we had an incident in Amsterdam last year which has informed some of our decision making. So it is exclusively a decision we made on the basis of the behaviour of a subsection of Maccabi fans. So
what he is saying is that they banned the Maccabi fans because they had a record of hooliganism.
Actually characterising them as amongst the worst in Europe.
I'm not characterising them amongst the worst in Europe. What I'm saying is there are football clubs that have a significant group of fans, ultras if you like. The difference here, I guess, is that they didn't just confine it to other football fans. In the past, there have been clashes that have gone beyond that, and clearly, as you've alluded to, the sensitivities around the Middle East mean that the potential for that to kind of exacerbate current tensions is so much that we felt this was the most sensible way of managing the risk.
Is this a new precedent now that if there are groups of hooligans from visiting clubs, their fans will be banned from coming to Aston Villa or other clubs on your patch?
So it's always one of the options for us. I don't think it's a new precedent. I think there were matches in Europe, both in September and another one shortly in November, where fans have been banned from travelling by the local authorities. So I don't think it's a precedent, but it's one we would use rarely, clearly.
Maccabi Tel Aviv are very concerned. They think their fans are being unfairly maligned. They were attacked in what have been called anti-Semitic attacks in Amsterdam last year. The only convictions in Amsterdam were for attacks by locals on their fans. But you formed a very different conclusion. Is that from the Dutch police, and does that mean there's something wrong with their investigation that led to the convictions only being for attacks on the Maccabi fans?
So obviously we engaged with Dutch police and wider law enforcement agencies in helping to assess the risk. We also had our own intelligence feeds that were coming in the build-up to this match. But what we were very clearly told is that they played a part in causing trouble, particularly a day before the match. But that's the whole point, really, so that kind of escalating tensions, the escalating violence as a consequence, is what we were trying to prevent here in Birmingham.
So he's saying here that it's because of the behaviour of the Maccabi fans in Amsterdam and that there was hooliganism. I'll talk more about this and the response of various media reports after I've told you that I'm Granniopteryx. Please like this video. It's a very distasteful one, so click like now before you start feeling queasy. And subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell. Okay, if you want to contribute financially, that's always lovely, of course, and all the links for that are in the description. Okay, let's talk about the degeneration of our police into a tool of the local Muslim community. Right, of course, it wasn't just the West Midlands police who were peddling this story. This is on the BBC. Of course, it would be, wouldn't it? Maccabi fan ban was due to hooliganism, say police. No questioning about it, just this is what the police say. West Midlands Police has defended keeping silent over the significant hooliganism among Maccabi Tel Aviv fans, which it now confirms is the reason they were banned from attending the Europa League clash with Aston Villa. More than 700 officers from 20 police forces were deployed near Villa Park on Thursday, where hundreds took part in demonstrations over the controversial decision. I have to point out, I don't think there were hundreds of pro-Israelis there, and the ones who were there were confined to a space behind a fence. All of the hundreds of demonstrators were Muslims from the Birmingham area or, having been imported. And then there was this. This is the view of the left. It's a Facebook page. Okaiser. What does it say? Organised, Corbyn-inspired socialist alliance. Right. And bringing socialists together and supporting your party. And this is the Facebook page I copied and pasted here because I thought it would be better to remove the names. It wasn't my intention to call their names to the public. Okaiser. Details of the assessment that led West Midlands Police to ban Maccabi Tel Aviv fans from attending a football match in Birmingham next month have been leaked to The Guardian. OK, so the West Midlands Police sent a story to The Guardian which they pretended was sort of secret. They unequivocally show that police feared the Israeli club's fans would be the ones to instigate violence. So, all right, the Westminster Police are pushing the story that it's the Maccabi fans who are going to cause trouble. And Starmer misrepresented the police assessments to demand that the ban be reversed. It is inconceivable that he was not aware of the police intelligence. Yeah, I think he was also aware of the truth. It says here, Dutch police told British counterparts that the Maccabi fans were behind the trouble in Amsterdam last year. That's a lie. 2. A source with inside knowledge of the police assessment said the biggest risk was always the extreme Maccabi fans who want to fight. That's a lie. A huge Dutch police effort involving 5,000 officers across 3 days was needed to quell the trouble. That's a lie. According to a community impact assessment by West Midlands Police, members of the Jewish community were among those who wanted the Maccabi fans banned. Well, there might have been one or two, they could have found one or two, but there were plenty who were there who disagreed with that, so I'd say that's a lie as well. So severe was the risk, police believed that at least 1,500 to 2,000 specialist riot police officers would need to be drafted in from around the country to cope with the Maccabi fans at a minimum cost of £6 million. Starmer knew all this. Apparently not, because that's a lie as well. So why did he effectively accuse the police of anti-Semitism and overrule their decision? Well, he didn't overrule their decision because the Maccabi fans didn't turn up. But the police are guilty of, if not actually anti-Semitism, going along with it to save themselves a little bit of trouble with the Muslim community, or maybe a lot of trouble, but that's hardly the point. Let me just go into this article in the Jewish Chronicle. West Midlands Police relied on false intelligence for Maccabi bans, say Dutch authorities. The Dutch authorities, the Amsterdam police, whom the West Midlands Police quoted to bolster up their story. The Dutch police have contradicted it. Amsterdam police spokesman said he was surprised by the allegations of Israeli violence. I was surprised when I saw that interview too, because I remember one incident where the Israelis acted badly, if you like, and what they did was they I believe it was two men. One jumped on the shoulders of another one. As far as I remember, that's the picture I got. So he could get higher and reach up and pull a Palestine flag off a wall. And that is the sum total of the Israeli instigated violence that I have heard about. There might have been other incidents, but there certainly wasn't anything like the way they're saying. West Midlands police relied on false intelligence. No, what West Midlands police relied on was a pack of lies, which maybe someone in the community, that is the Muslim community there in Birmingham, told them. That's possible. But I'm quite sure they could find out for themselves. So I'm sure they knew that it wasn't false intelligence. I'm sure they were just cooking up lies to excuse themselves. And this is what I find most upsetting. This is British police, my police, making up stories which then get turned into these sorts of things from nutty lefties in Okaiser, and of course gets repeated by the BBC. My police are telling out and out lies and accusing the Maccabi fans, meaning Jews, of instigating violence. Last week, the JC reported that the dossier from Amsterdam police used by the West Midlands police force undermined the very claims used to justify the Israeli fans' ban. Now the Dutch police have alleged that a report setting out West Midlands' reasons for the ban included exaggerated claims about violence when Maccabi played Ajax in Amsterdam last year. The report, which was cited during a private meeting with Birmingham's Jewish community, so the police went to the Jews and told them that they had a bunch of vicious and violent Jewish people from Israel going to turn up in Birmingham. They told these people that, well, basically they should be ashamed of their co-religionists, rather. Claimed that Israeli fans threw innocent members of the public into the river, that between 500 and 600 intentionally targeted Muslim communities, and that 5,000 police officers were deployed in response. Every single thing there is a lie. I heard of one person ending up in the river, and that person was a Maccabi fan. Some Muslims got him, threw him in the river, and wouldn't let him get back to the shore until he'd shouted "Free Palestine." That was Muslims doing that to a Maccabi fan. And then between 500 and 600 intentionally targeted Muslim communities, what happened was that dozens of Muslim taxi drivers came out on the streets, radioed each other about where the Maccabi fans were, and went to do violence to them. And that 5,000 police officers were deployed in response. That's a totally false figure. Now, in an interview with the Sunday Times, Sebastian Meyer, a spokesman for the Amsterdam Police Division, said he was surprised by the allegations of Israeli violence, and many of the claims made by the West Midlands force were not true. The West Midlands finding that the Israelis were highly organised, skilled fighters with a serious desire and will to fight with police, Meyer said, Amsterdam police does not recognise the claim. On the claim that the Israeli fans threw people into the canal, Meyer said the only known case related to a man who appeared to be a Maccabi Tel Aviv fan, and he was filmed being told he couldn't leave the water until he'd said "Free Palestine." Another claim made by the UK force linked 200 travelling Maccabi 200 travelling Maccabi to the Israel Defence Forces. But Meir pointed out that Israel's policy of conscription made this claim meaningless. On the claim that 5,000 Dutch officers had to be deployed to police the violence, Meir said, "In total we came to 1,200 in different shifts." I read 5,000 police. That number is so not true. He said there was no evidence that 600 people deliberately targeted Muslims, and the force did not have a total number of how many people actually partook in the disorder. The official report into the violence in Amsterdam from Dutch authorities, obtained by the Jewish Chronicle, said Maccabi fans do not have a violent reputation, and made clear it was the Israeli club's supporters who were the victims of groups that are looking for a confrontation. So I'd say that's clear enough. The Dutch police have confirmed what anyone who'd been keeping tabs on the news, who didn't have an anti-Semitic filter inside their heads, of course, would already have known. The document also stated that of the 59 suspects arrested, only 10 were Israeli, while the others were from the Netherlands. And they weren't Dutch, I can assure you of that. Despite this, the West Midlands Police used its own exaggerated report during a meeting last month with members of the Birmingham's Jewish community. So they went to the Jewish community in Birmingham and lied to them about their own co-religionists. That's heart-sinkingly shocking. Superintendent Jack Hadley, I wonder if that's this guy here. I wonder if that's the fellow. Anyway, Superintendent Jack Hadley told those present at that meeting, innocent members of the public walking down the road were just thrown into the river, he said, and claimed Dutch police described the coordination and organisation of the fans as unique. Yeah, what was unique was the organisation of the Muslim taxi drivers. He said violence, the likes of which had never been seen, had resulted in the deployment of thousands of police officers. This is a policeman talking to a beleaguered minority ethnic community, telling them that they are part of a lot of very bad people. That's a British policeman saying that. And obviously that story went to the BBC, which hooliganism element, look at the size of that header. So that's how the story got round. And then it ended up on this Facebook page. So severe was the risk. Police believe that at least 1,500, 2,000 specialist riot police, etc., etc. Just lies. Now, these people here, I don't know whether they were following it. I don't know whether they knew they were lying. But even if they didn't know the truth, they were very happy to post this sort of stuff. Andrew Gilbert, Vice President of the Board of Deputies, said he was extremely troubled by reports that Maccabi fans were banned because of a police decision based on false information. You see, the thing is, I don't know whether the Muslim community and the police colluded in cooking up this story, but I do know that the police must have known the truth of it. They're supposed to be the police. They're supposed to be. Investigation is what they do. And they had the Dutch police report on their desks. And yet they came out with this stuff. That guy must have known that he was telling lies. Soviet-style lies. I think the Jewish Chronicle are being altogether too charitable here. Relied on false intelligence. No, they didn't rely on false intelligence. They created false intelligence. When there's a some sort of an investigation into this. Finally, they'll probably end up saying, we're very sorry, we were wrong, we'd got the wrong end of the stick. There are lessons to be learnt. There's always lessons to be learnt, aren't there? And we'll do better next time, or something to that. But meanwhile, the Maccabi fans weren't allowed to come. And they weren't allowed to come not because they were bad, but because the Muslim community there in Birmingham was bad. They were worried about what would happen with the Muslim community. So instead of going head to head with them, they made up stories about the Israelis. That satisfied the Muslim community and saved the police a lot of bother. It's difficult to believe that my police force is doing this. It is shameful. I feel this very strongly. All right, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.